Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment to say something that matters to me. The Pinto Podcast is completely independent. I don't take ad money, I don't have sponsors, and nobody pays me to say anything on this show. And that's not by accident. That's a decision I made deliberately. Because this podcast is about the craft, about the community, and about honest conversations. And some of those conversations will be hard conversations. The only thing that keeps the show going is you, and I only need one listener to do it. So I thank you for your generosity and all your support. Give us a like and subscribe to the Pinto Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Now on to the episode. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Pinto Podcast. My name is Al Wayman, owner of Creek Road Pottery in Laceyville, Pennsylvania, next to the cold Tuscarora Creek. Pull up a chair around the wheel as we discuss topics concerning the art and craft of pottery, good books, storytelling, marketing, and creating work that matters for folks who care. Greetings, friends. Man, it's been a long time again. Season 5, Episode 3 of the Pinto Podcast. And I welcome you back. April was a long month, and we got a lot of rain. And the old Tuscarora Creek is running cold and deep down back past the house. But things are warming up. I put some more bird seed in the bird feeder. We got one of those bird feeders with a camera inside. And we can see the birds as they come to eat. And the cardinals have been beautiful, and the sparrows and all kinds of birds. So we've been enjoying that a whole lot. Been working on the kiln a bit. I think I mentioned it in the last episode. I figured out the arch, bricks, and the combination that they'll go back in. So I need to put slots on top of the form so that I can build that arch around it. So I got one side dry stacked in. I think I mentioned it in the last episode. My pops came up and he helped me do that. And then I had the other side placed. So tomorrow, if I get some nice weather, I'm going to go out there and start putting in that arch and dry stack the other side just to make sure I have enough brick. Because the big goal is to get that arch done before the end of May. And that's the hardest part, is the arch. The chimney stack will go straight up. I need to move a lot of brick. So my pops stopped down, gave me a new battery for the old wheelhouse tractor he loaned me and the cart. So I'm going to be moving some brick tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens. Haven't been making any pots. I didn't have any shows this month for the month of April. I canceled to open up for the kiln building because I didn't want any distractions. I wanted to be able to fully concentrate on the kiln. And then it ended up I had to look for a different car. I drove my car right into the ground. And so when I went to get it inspected, they put it up on the lift and they said, this isn't going to pass. I had some rust on the underneath and the rocker panels, and I patched them up last year, which was a big deal, and it did pass last year, but they told me it wouldn't pass this year. So I had to bite the bullet. I had to go and get a loan and get another decent used car. So I ended up getting a Equinox Chevy 2022 at $64,000 on it, but it's going to be great. I can lay the seats down and put my pottery things in there when I go to shows and drive to work with it, and it's going to be more dependable. So I took the old car. I'm going to save that because it's paid for, and I had my cousin take it back home, do some body work on it, and I'm going to see if I can get it inspected after some more intense body work on that car, because it was great on gas. I was getting 30 miles to the gallon, and the way gas prices are currently at the time of this episode, It's $4.30 a gallon. So I'm going to need to stretch that gas. Luckily, I only have 23 miles to drive one way to work and back. So living close to my job is a good thing. And so I'll be able to make it to the big paper factory. So I ended up working on the website some and ended up doing some administrative things. I got my tax refund. I paid down some debt. And we had some debt from veterinary bills. We had a couple of cats get sick last year. And so 3 of them got sick almost back to back. And with all the testing and everything, it cost us a couple thousand. And so I'm happy to say that I was able to pay off those credit cards, and it freed up some extra money to put towards a down payment on a new used car, new to me used car, and also paid off credit card bills. So that's where I'm at now. I'm kind of happy about that. So what I wanted to do was, in the last episode, we talked about creating during hard times. And I want to go a little bit deeper and talk about the financial side of hard times, because we've all been there. And we'll talk about what debt might do to your creative life, because I've been there, right? And then we'll talk about ways to build financial stability. I know you're laughing, and you're probably going to be like, financial stability as a potter? Al, you worked at a factory, man. So yeah, so it's definitely going to be different, right? Because I don't know if you're full-time just making pots. It's definitely going to be different. However, people who have both a job and running pots are going to have issues also, right? It's not all smooth sailing. So maybe something that I'm doing will help you. And I know that some of you may be doing fairly decent, right? I don't know your situation, but others, maybe not so much, right? And so we're going to talk about that. This isn't going to be a get rich quick kind of episode. There's no magic formula, and I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not going to sell you a financial course like a business coach guru or something, right? So don't worry about that. But go get a coffee and meet me right back here. We'll sit in the pottery shed, and we'll pull up a chair, and we'll talk about the financial part of running a pottery business and making pots in hard times and paying down debt, right? So go get a drink and meet me right back here. Greetings, friends. Pull up a chair and we'll get started on this episode of the financial part of it, talking about debt and all. And I think one of the most important things will be to know your numbers, like the cost per month. Your clay, your propane, your kiln maintenance, your booth fees, your packing, shipping supplies, website, equipment. So you'll need to write all that down. So it sounds kind of crazy, but what I did, since I use a lot of AI, I put all those numbers down in Claude AI, and it remembers and it can give me an average of what I use per month. And I even put all my spending in there. So I didn't put any account numbers. I didn't put any important numbers to where if it was stolen, it would be a big problem, but just my numbers so that it can coach me on how my numbers are doing and what the dollar amount actually is. So I put all those in. And then I also was working on what shows actually make. Not net, not gross, but revenue minus the booth fees and the gas and the time. So I track it per show. And then I started dialing back on the ones that didn't earn their keep. So that was a tough thing. So what I did was I put the shows from Square, because I use Square as a cash register and as my in and out for everything, both credit and cash. And I took each show from last year, 2025, when I did my taxes, and I put all that into Claude AI and had it work out what I made for each show. So then it knew not only what I would spend on raw materials and to produce it, it also knew what I was making on the shows. And then I figured out a rough estimate of what per piece actually cost. So that's, materials plus your time, and figure in an hourly rate for yourself. I know you're laughing, but do it because potters, we work for free, right? But figure it out per piece. And I even went as far as taking my most expensive glaze and weighing a bisque mug, a 1 poundy bisque mug, before I glazed it. And then I glazed it with my most expensive glaze, like I normally would, glaze a piece, let that dry, and then weighed it again. So I knew how much glaze by weight was going on a 1 pound mug, and some of the things that I make in production. So then from that, I can make an estimate based on per piece of what I'm spending. And then I also figured out how much gas, propane, I used per firing, both in the bisque and in the glaze. So after all of that, and after all the numbers are in, it kind of gives you a better picture, and it's easier to do nowadays. So you might be worried about using AI. I use it as a tool more often, so I'm not as worried about it. But if you are, go back to the old-timey spreadsheet, right? And I have both an old-timey spreadsheet for free that will figure out your cost. It's a Excel, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And I also created an app that will help you with that, and that's on my website. Both are free. I'm not charging anything for these. So go ahead, and that will help you figure out your cost of production and figure out cost and give you a better picture on where you're at. So then after that, you would need to figure out your price for sustainability. Your price is not like your personal statement. It's like math. It's like what you need to survive. So you need your materials plus your time at an hourly rate. I know you're laughing, right? But you got to do it. So I use the 2x2 method. So I know my raw materials times 2, and that would be my wholesale, times 2, that would be my retail. And So you know a minimum price, and your minimum price, which would be your base price, is non-negotiable. So every time you undercharge, you're actually subsidizing your buyer's lifestyle with your own work and with your artwork. And that's not generosity. That's like a boat that's leaking, right? So you're spending time giving of yourself, creating and being generous. And in turn, people who care are being generous and buying from you. However, you're not being generous to yourself. Generous does not mean free, right? Generous means you're saying, look what I made. What do you think? And will you be generous and buy it from me? And if they care enough, they will, right? So you don't want to be putting leaks in your boat. And I've done that. I've underpriced. Sometimes art students come in. I know I know they're going through art school and they got bills to pay and stuff. Give them a free mug, whatever. But that's a little bit different than underselling yourself at every show for all your pieces, right? So once you get a handle down on what your cost of production is, with you getting paid, start thinking about what a sustainable price would be. And we're all different. We all need different things, and we all think differently. So because I have a job and I run the pottery business on the side, that pricing might be different. Like I run comparisons and being like, okay, in general, in my area, this is what my colleagues are pricing their things at. And then I think about what the community and buyers can afford. And then think about, okay, am I actually making money on this thing, or am I going broke? So that's how I kind of think about it. And raising your prices for sure feels scary. So I haven't raised my prices in a bit, but the last show I did for my spring show, I raised it by, I think, 20% across the board, everything. And now it's more in line with what it should be. And I feel like I got paid. So I was able to buy more propane. So it worked out. Raising prices can be scary for sure, but do it anyways. And the buyers who will leave over that pricing, they will either save up and come back, or maybe they never really cared about you personally anyways, right? Maybe you thought they cared, but they didn't care enough to be generous enough to care about you and the pots, to pay for what you need to make them again, and to keep being generous yourself, right? So some people flinched, but most didn't when they came in. And I didn't make a big announcement that I was raising prices. I just put it on there because that's you. And you don't need to be like, oh, hey, I'm raising prices. You don't need to scold your customers being like, I need more money. Don't do it. Just get more in line with what's happening and make yourself sustainable. And the ones that stayed are the ones who care, right? So we make work that matters for people who care, and the people who care are the ones who will support you. And you only need a few true fans to do well. So next, you would diversify your revenue. Don't depend on one stream. And I've been working on this because a lot of times when I do just the local shows here, I was very dependent on that because I made good money. But now that's kind of drying up because a lot of the shops that I collaborate with on these trails, some of them are retiring, some of the big shops left. Other smaller shops came in. They're not very well known and established enough to get the type of audience to come out that we did in the past. So I need to sign on to some more shows where I might travel to. And also, I need to get my website stocked to diversify into that, as shows alone may not be enough. You could have bad weather, canceled event, and your whole month is done, A lot of times, we might have other streams of revenue. You have, like I was mentioning, the online shop. You could do workshops, commissions, writings, like podcasts. I don't get paid for this, but you could run a podcast. You could do consignment work. I know a lot of makers do not like getting into that. However, if you pick your customers, consignment work will be more enjoyable. So you need to pick your customers. You can't. I don't believe it's a lot of fun for me personally. It's not a lot of fun just having any Joe Schmo come in and be like, hey, can you make me this or that? Because it puts a lot of pressure on things, and you're making things that you may not be familiar with. But if you can pick, hey, Uncle Dave, man, I know you wanted a plate setting for the longest time. I'm doing plate settings right now. I'll make you up one. So what do you say? And then kind of like that. So then I have the Creek Road Pottery has a shop here, and we're sitting in it now. I have the shows, and I write a bit on Substack, and then I sell a few journals on Amazon, but none of those alone will do it. So together, everything starts to add up a little bit by bit. So another thing you would do, and I've done this, because instead of buying the big screen TV, with my tax return, right, I paid off debt. And I paid off debt like it was an emergency. So a lot of those high interest credit cards, I even stopped contributing to my 401k to get some of those cards paid down. And I just started putting back in again because I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to get them paid off with that tax refund. And every dollar of interest is a dollar that didn't go down the drain, but you can put it towards your clay and your propane and your repairs and your cost of production. And another thing is to pay off your, I did this, there's different ways you can do it. There's a million ways you can do it. I paid off the high interest rate credit cards first. And then when that was done, I redirected that to other things. Like right now I'm paying on my new to me used car. And another thing is I try to live within my means. And what that is, it's a little bit different for everybody, for sure. So figure out what that is, and then try to live within your means. And there's a lot of people out there that lecture people on what that means, but I'm not going to do that here. If you want to go to Starbucks and treat yourself to a $5 coffee, go right ahead. But just keep in mind what your finances are, and try not to let the rewards you give yourself get out of control, because you don't need to keep up with anybody. You just need to keep up with yourself and what makes you happy. So try not to look around and keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are already going to be ahead of you. So every piece of debt that you eliminate is going to be one less thing standing in your way between you and your work. And it feels like a huge load off, and it's nice. So a thing that probably no other potter has, and if you're making pottery and you're broke as heck, a lot of financial advisors would say, hey, build a cushion. What is that, right? So maybe with the tax refund, or say you had a really good show, start putting a few bucks away in savings in your business also, and have a cash reserve for your business. So that way you're not one bad kiln firing away from a crisis. Yeah, I've had those. So if you're living kiln fire to kiln fire, you know, that is a lot of stress. So try to get away from that if possible. I know it's very challenging, probably in the times right now at the making of this episode, to do that in a lot of ways, because everything is becoming very expensive. So I'm not saying you need a ton of money as a cushion, just enough to cover at least one bad month, right? You can start there. And even $50 a month into some account over time builds up. And if you make it into a practice, you'll have a nice emergency fund. Emergency funds should not be about fear. It's about giving you options. And when you have a cushion, and you can do different things. You could say no to bad shows. You can say no to trouble commissions, like I was saying before. It'll give you options, and it'll give you the option to pick who you want to make work for. And it'll even give you the option to fire customers who want you to lower your price, right? You could tell them to hit the road. So I think that, you know, having the cushion is a really good idea. So what's the bigger picture here? Financial stability isn't the opposite of creative freedom. You know, it is creative freedom. And when you're not panicking about all the money that you don't have, you can make better work, because being in debt and worrying about finances puts a lot of stress on you. I've been there lots of times, and I know how it can be. So right now, I happen to be lucky. Tomorrow, I may not be. And I think that if you look over history, we know that bad times don't last forever. But habits that you build during the bad times, like tracking your finances, cost production, all that we just talked about, can be a huge help. And if you know how to live like you're broke and can be creative in your spending and can have a little bit on the side, it will save you a ton of grief later, for sure. So, I think that's about it in today's episode. And thanks for spending time with me talking about it all. And I think that as you progress and pull your hair out, it's a lot of work up front to get all your numbers, to know your numbers, and to figure out all your finances. But sit down and do it. Use a spreadsheet. Use AI if you can. Things have gotten easier for sure. They make mistakes, right? So use them as a tool. So in my idea of it, and I use a lot of AI here at the Pottery, I know that, but my idea of it is that AI is here, whether we like it or not. And I think that I would rather work with AI as a tool than work for AI. Working for AI would just be a bad time. And it would be a terrible boss because it would lack empathy. It doesn't even know who I am. However, if I work with AI and use it as a tool, it can free up a lot of time. So this isn't an episode on why you should use AI. This is not that episode. This episode is AI was a tool to help me work out all my financial picture on where I'm at. And hopefully this year I can make a few bucks. So last year I was a little bit behind, and I ended up spending a lot of my income that I made off the pots on some classes. So last year was a building year. Last year was a learning year. So I need to generate income this year and have those investments that I made last year pay off. So I'm trying to do that. So the big push this year will be to know my numbers, save on propane. I may go to wood and create a rocket kiln. I have 2 kilns I can turn into rocket kilns and burn wood. I would like to even use a rocket kiln to do my bisque, which is very possible. I have brick to do it. I just need to get the setup and stop talking about it and just do it. I need to get the wood kiln up. I have a neighbor who is going to split a load of logs with me, and we will cut it up because it's cheaper to buy a load of logs than it is to buy it cut and delivered. So he burns wood in his house in a wood stove for heating in the winter. I do the same. So we decided to go together on buying a load of wood. So that's another thing that I just thought of talking about it. You can go together in co-ops, right? And spread out the expense. So maybe if you co-opted buying clay with some other potters, buying supplies in bulk, and then all splitting it up, that's a way to go about saving a few bucks financially. All right, well, hopefully you found that helpful. Feel free to check out the Creek Road Pottery shop. And if you would like to support me in some way, I just am loading some more pots into the shop. So that would be very helpful to me. And also, I have a paid tier now on my Substack. So I've been writing for over 3 years now almost, and I have over 800 posts because I write every day, the Pottery Dailies. So if you're interested in getting something in your email, and then I'm running a special until May 27th for founders pricing, $5 a month. I will send you some extra stuff about studio maintenance and glazing and things like that, something extra on top of the normal Pottery Dailies. Then I have the newsletter. If you say, I don't want anything every day, feel free to check out the newsletter. And I have some pottery apps that are free to use on my website. As I mentioned, one is a cost analysis app that will help you cost per piece, figure it out. It's free. And then if you type in the search Creek Road Pottery cost analysis worksheet, you will find an Excel file that you can download off my website, and that will help you also figure out cost per piece and what you should be charging for it in the 2x2 idea from my website. So go ahead and try those things out. They're all free, and they're all done with generosity. And hopefully that will help you in some way. All right, until next time, friends, take care and happy making.